Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Hunter spoke with his father every day and would often put his father, occasionally would put his father on to say hello to whomever he happened to be caught at dinner with. And Mr. Archer clarified that was sometimes people that they were having, they were trying to do business with.
I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
And sounds like most of the time, now President Biden didn't even know who the people he was at dinner. He was just asked to say hello, and he would, talk about the way he described it several times. They asked over and over and over. He described what the weather was, what's going on your end.
There is a photo of you golfing with your son Hunter and his business partner Devin Archer. Do you stand by your statement that you did not discuss any of your son's overseas business?
Yes, I stand by that statement.
Doesn't it contradict the president's statement saying that he never talked to any of Hunter Biden business associates? Clearly he talked, whether it's about the weather or whatever, but he said specifically that he's never talked to them. Doesn't this contradict him?
I don't know what his comment is, and if we're gonna, I don't think that's what he said.
Because I never discussed with my son anything having to do with what was going on in Ukraine. That's a fact.
He never said that he has never spoken to anyone.
Because I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters, and I've never discussed them because they know where I have to do my job and that's it, and they have to make their own judgments.
If he says hello to someone that he sees his son with, is he supposed to say, "Hi, son"? Oh, no, I'm not going to say hello to the other people at the table.
That's why I never talk with my son or my brother or anyone else, even distant family, about their business interests, period.
About 20 times over the course of his 10-year business relationship that he had with Mr. Biden, with Hunter Biden, which would be about twice a year, that Hunter would put his father on speakerphone with whomever was at dinner, and there was no indication that he had any idea who was at dinner.
Do you think it was wrong for him to take that position,
No.
knowing that it was really because that company wanted access to you?
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that?
There is not a shred of evidence of a single conflict of interest of President Biden ever doing anything in connection or in relation to Hunter Biden's business ventures, other than advocating for the removal of a prosecutor general who was advantageous to Burisma.
You know it didn't look good for Hunter Biden to be on that board, even if he did nothing wrong. The optics weren't good. And you talk a lot about what it means to be a Biden and the integrity that is imbued in that family name. But there were former White House aides of yours who tried to warn you about the potential conflicts of interest.
I became aware that Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. Soon after that, in a briefing call with the national security staff of the Office of the Vice President in February of 2015, I raised my concern that Hunter Biden's status as a board member could create the perception of a conflict of interest.
Nobody warned me about a potential conflict of interest. Nobody warned me about that.
What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody...
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
It's kind of a preposterous premise to think that a father should not say hello to people that the son are at dinner with.
Did you and your father ever discuss Ukraine?
No. As I said, the only time was after a news account, and it wasn't a discussion in any way. There's no but to this. No, we never did.
And unless there's any evidence, and we have seen none.
You know there's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong.
Then we need to move on, and this investigation is a complete waste of time.
I mean, come on. This is... So, these guys are amazing.